George Harrison called the diminished seventh and the augmented his naughty chords. Now sure, they show up in quite a few Beatles songs and some of his best solo works, so we're going to take a look at those and more. The theory behind them, some easy chord forms, and how to use them in songwriting and soloing. This video is sponsored by TrueFire.com, the world's largest online library of interactive music lessons with thousands of lessons taught by the world's greatest players. A lot goes into the making of those, and I think it's well worth it. Check the description box below for the link to get 1 year of all access. One of the reasons music teachers love the Beatles is that they made so many very memorable, very great pop songs, and within those songs that we all are somewhat familiar with are, recording innovations as well as really great music theory education moments, like the density of interesting inside seemingly, simple songs is pretty much unparalleled. So anyway, here's some Beatles songs that show us what the diminished seventh chord sounds like. Early on, we have Till There Was You. We'll take apart that solo a little bit later. Let's look at that chord progression. So for that little guitar solo, we got F. Here comes the first one we're going to see. G minor. And this is kind of a funny key change. And we could do the F over here. We could do the A minors over here. This is an interesting chord also. There's also an accidental one in I Want to Tell You. George talks about this. There's an E7, but he puts an F in the bass, so you get this wonky chord. And gosh, now that I think about it, that's also in She's So Heavy, though. Yeah. Also, the main melody of Blue Jay Way. That's a C diminished arpeggio resolving to a C major. And of course, we have some non-George moments. Let me pull up an old clip of the Chet Atkins version of Michelle. There they are. There's a really good diminished chord in Because, a John Lennon song. Let's check it out. I love this chord. Right here. Just a little bit of Beatles trivia. I read Jeff Emmerich's book, and he mentions that the recording of Because, now normally, if you're going to try and stack vocal harmonies like that, a three-part harmony, you're going to, multi-track it, but they couldn't get the blend right. So they actually did that live around one mic, and, they were not getting along at that time. They were not speaking to each other, but when they're like, hey, we got to go do this, they went in and they did it. Skills. Speaking of skills, let's talk about some of the George Harrison moments after the Beatles from his solo career where he really leaned on that diminished seventh chord. We have, of course, Isn't It a Pity? And yep, My Sweet Lord, which, owes its DNA to the chiffons, He's So Fine. All right, let's get into the theory a little bit now. A diminished seventh chord is such a complex and unique sound. They don't actually get used that much. I actually struggle to describe them in words. So here's a clip from The Big Lebowski. So what is it exactly? Now, like its cousin, the augmented triad, it doesn't occur in regular keys. Yeah, there's an E augmented to an A. Similarly, I could do a G sharp diminished 7 to an A. It's kind of fun to do them both. Now, true, the diminished triad does, but that's hard for us guitar players to play. I'll show you what I mean. Here is an A major scale. Sure, we have the triads in that scale. There he is. So it's like, sure, we could do that, but you're not really going to see someone do that. Now, because it's hard for us guitar players to voice minor third triad, along with our other much more, grabbable chord forms, we have to transform it into something that we can grab a little bit easier with our other chords, and that's why it becomes the diminished 7 chord, which is, yeah, darn close to a minor 7 flat 5. Is the correct chord in the key, but not as movable, not as symmetrical. It's a cool chord, don't get me wrong, but it's not as symmetrical and movable as that diminished 7th chord is. A root, a flat 3, a flat 5, that's the interesting note. So it's not that, it's technically a double flat 7. So a diminished 7th chord is an endless sequence of minor thirds, which is similar to an augmented 7th chord, which is an endless sequence of major thirds. I talked about that in this video. Now, common chord forms. Because it's symmetrical, on your root 6, it's going to look like this. This is a G sharp diminished, which is really the same tones as a B diminished, which means I can go over to the root 5, I'll do it over here. And similarly, I could go to the root 4. The main way you're going to see these get used is as an approach chord, which is a chord that's not really a chord that's meant to be, you're not supposed to hang out on that chord. It's a chord that's there to lead to the next chord, to create a little chaos before there's a resolution. I mean, really, it's a lot like a drum fill. A drum fill kind of shakes things up before it moves on to the next section of a song. You don't need a song to have drum fills to be a cool song, but they help kind of define the sections. So in the example of Till There Was You, you have this F, that's the root of the key, going ultimately up to a G minor. So you create a little chaos by putting an F sharp diminished before that one. And that's often how they'll work. One fret below the chord you actually want to go to. The next question you probably have is, well, how would I play over that if, that was in a song that I was covering or I wrote it into one of my songs? My answer is always, what would Willie Nelson do?
Remember what I tell you.
That's what George Harrison does in Till There Was You, as in he just plays the arpeggio of that weird chord when he gets to it. That always sounds nice, because when a chord is weird, why not just show the audience the weird chord? So that little solo in Till There Was You, that was all F, and then here comes that diminished. He just plays that. Look at that. Minor third sequence. F sharp, minor third, minor third, minor third. There it is. Ha. Then he just plays the G minor. What was that? Yeah, there's that B flat minor. And then where are we at? Oh, big F major 7. Actually, he plays it as a 6. And then the little walk down, different version of these are caged shapes. That's a pretty Stevie Wonder chord, really. Also a Hendrix chord. Oh yeah, that's Foxy Lady. But anyway, F. And then there is actually another F diminished. Now I don't know where to put this in the video, so let's just put it here. Because these are symmetrical, there are kind of shreddy things that you can do with them. Let's slow that down for a second. Again, because this is symmetrical, the shape stays the same for the arpeggio. Go 3 frets higher. And I can resolve it to a D minor. And then if you want to be a little jazzier still, you do this trick. You go up to the top of one, slide to the next position, come down that one, go 3 frets higher to the next one. Let me make sure you can see that fretboard there. The other question you probably have is, well, what about those diminished scales? I really don't like these. I don't use them, but here they are. Because there's a couple of different ones that, similarly, they're symmetrical. They're always a sequence, like a whole step, a half step, and then a whole step, a half step, a whole step, a half step, a whole step, a half step, which I'm like, yeah, that's a G sharp diminished scale. Again, for me, let's see if I can make it sound like something you do 1 bar of groove, 1 bar of fill. That's a way to be like, okay, well, there's the chord, there's the scale. Does this sound cool? Eesh, maybe. What about the second octave? Let's see. Boy, that's weird. Right, did I get that right? Yes, that. That's really strange. Root. Gosh, I struggle to make that sound like anything. Something. I think that's enough for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. That costs you nothing. Sure helps me out a lot when people do that. In the time that it took me to transcribe the music, set up and shoot, tab everything out, make the backing tracks, and put everything together for this one upload, easily more than 1,000 low-effort AI slop videos have been flooding this platform. If you could, try not to engage with these sort of AI, clickbait, listicle type videos. They're really aggressively flooding the platform right now and a little bit drowning out real creators like me. And again, my argument against that kind of stuff is, why would you give someone your time who didn't think enough of you to put something together that took more than a couple of prompts? It really feels, I don't know, it feels lazy to me. If you value my work, consider supporting me on Patreon or buying one of my courses. Like, I do the work for you. As Bill and Ted would say, be excellent to each other. That includes yourself. See you next week.